What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and today we are going to take a look at a game of Storybook Brawl that is just beautiful. There is something almost artistic and absolutely wonderful about this game that I'm going to showcase, and it is going to start with Wonder Waddle, one of the best heroes for doing absolutely crazy and fabulous things in Storybook Brawl. We'll lock onto a shop with Forbidden Fruit and pick up two Magnums, which aren't super exciting on Wonder Waddle, but they will potentially allow our kitty cut purse to slay, which will help us get some additional cash to take on this lobby. So things are going pretty nicely here. We're going to tie our second combat, and we've got some additional gold. So that's going to allow us to roll and pick up a black cat. And now we've got a pretty strong board as well. We should still be slaying with our kitty cut purse as long as we get first attack. And then we've got two 7/1 black cats and a 5/3 goat. So we've got a pretty solid squad of units here. Unfortunately, we don't get our slay, but we do crack an egg. So not too shabby here. We're gonna walk away with a win, and this shop is a little bit awkward. We're going to wind up picking up two questing units. We haven't seen too much in the way of animals, but we get to pick up some nice questing units here to add to our board. I don't typically love to play questing units when I am running with Wonder Waddle, unless we can get like an early noble steed or something like that. I generally think like we're not going to really care about the Cinderella. I just picked it up because it cost 2 gold and we had 2 gold. But I think that we are going to be strong here. Otherwise, unfortunately, we don't get to slay with the Brave Princess, so kind of unlucky. But we do get to pick up some animals on this turn, so that's pretty nice. And I'm going to get rid of Cinderella to pick up Magnum. And there's some interesting options here. We could grab a locked chest or a bounty board. Bounty board being pretty good for us right now. We've got a few slay units, but locked chest I feel like is going to be better in general because we are still playing Wonder Waddle, and there's a lot of cool things that Wonder Waddle can do with a bunch of tier 3 treasures. So I'll move Brave Princess to the front, try to slay with it, and it's going to get attacked into again. But we do have this large black cat that can hopefully allow us to find a win here. Let's see. And then Kitty Cut Purse is going to get a slay too. So we do walk away with a little bit of extra gold and not buying XP really here. I don't love XP on Wonder Waddle, but I am going to spend some cash to pick up some animals. I will pick up a goat. I'll pick up a Polywoggle triple. And I think we just go Secret Stash here. Runestones is always awkward on Wonder Waddle because I don't really want tier 4 treasures, but Secret Stash will just give us some extra cash to help us really roll for those tier 3 units and try to put something nice together. I'm going to hang on to the Polywoggle because we are on 3.2, and now I can maybe get some use out of it next turn. That could be sweet, and we'll see where we can go from here. So we wind up taking a little bit of damage, but we've also got a little bit of extra cash here on 4.0, and that's going to help us be a little bit more choosy in what we pick up because we can roll a few extra times. I will pick up a Wizard's Familiar pair. I really like going for that. I'm still trying to force Hat Ball where possible, and for that reason, I mean, I consider this spinning wheel, but ultimately am going to skip it because we want to pick up this Grim Soul, and then we want to be able to roll for some 3-cost animals that could potentially still allow us to find Hat Ball. The important thing being here that we've got the Stag, we've got the Brave Princess, and we also have the locked chest about to open up. Fortunately, we don't find Hat or Ball here. We find Cloak of the Assassin, which is kind of in an interesting spot with this board because we do have some slay things that we are trying to make happen, and I do want this Grimsoul to land on Polywoggle, but I think it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if it lands on Brave Princess either. So I'm going to go ahead and move Brave Princess to the back. Maybe that way Grimsoul can trigger on it and then it can slay. And Polywoggle is still behind the Stag, so if Stag attacks, Polywoggle's still going to get some additional attack and potentially be able to slay itself. and that's what we're going to be banking on at least. So Grimsoul does go ahead and trigger onto Brave, and then Stag gets its attack as well, and we're also just looking pretty strong in general with all of these 7/1 Black Cats, and Grimsoul is going to get a Slay here, but it's more than that. It transforms into a huge Aeon, and then doesn't get one Slay, but actually winds up getting a second Slay. So my spells are going to cost 4 less this turn, and I've got an Aeon. Unfortunately, we don't find a Crystal Ball to go with it. That would have just been absolutely amazing. What I'm going to do here, though, is take Treasure Map, and I think that there's some ways that we can make Treasure Map work. I don't want it to land on Brave Princess. I'm actually kind of considering that a tier 4 treasure could be kind of cool. Alongside this golden chicken, a tier 4 treasure will potentially be able to give us Forking Rod. And this is just the perfect accumulation of things that have happened here, because right now our spells cost 4 less. We can also use Grimsoul to continue to have our spells cost 4 less, but I'm going to sell out of that golden chicken, and I am going to roll down for some XP. I mean, we can cast that. That is totally free, but everything else, all I care about right now is grabbing some XP, because it will be super cheap and we get to double cast it. So I'm rolling all the way down, and we find the Wish Upon a Star just in time, a double Wish Upon a Star. So that is going to give us 2 XP. And then if we win the combat, which I think we'll be able to because we've got a 27/27 Aeon, we will be able to get another 2 XP. So absolutely massive here. And I know I generally don't love XP on Wonder Waddle, but at this point, I mean, this was just such a clear avenue to victory that we had to go for it. Grimsoul is going to trigger on the Aeon, so we're going to have cheap spells this turn, but Brave Princess is going to get a Slay of her own and be able to give us some cheap spells for this turn. We are going to win the Wish Upon a Star, and we'll get the treasure from Brave Princess. That is going to be a Merlin's hat. We kind of don't need it. Our spells are already cheap enough with this Aeon that is slaying multiple times per turn, but the crazy thing here is that we're level 6, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, now we can start to try to pursue some tier 6 characters and try to move into some other directions. Definitely want to pick up Hercules here, and I do think Gigantify on Hercules is probably a reasonably good spell to cast. It'll give it plus 20 health, make it really reasonable that we wind up finding a tier 6 treasure before the rest of the lobby can really come back. We can also put Hercules in the Magnum slot, so now it only needs to connect 4 times and is looking pretty good. And now I'm actually going to backline the Aeon, so that way Grimsoul will trigger on the Aeon, and we're just doing some nice things. I'll also pick up a Stag, because we are still Wonder Waddle. Oh, do I not? I think I do. I mean, we don't have too much time left on the clock at this point anyways, so we'll probably just pick up the Stag in the last second, but definitely doing some really powerful stuff here. We almost don't really need, I mean, we do still want Crystal Ball. We don't really need the hat, actually, because we have got more than enough discounts on all of our spells. Luckily, Hercules is not going to get attacked into by a ranged unit, so Hercules is going to be halfway through completion after this combat, and then we're also going to just have cheap spells again because we are going to have a double Aeon Slay. So we're kind of killing it. 2 XP up on this Merlin that also clearly bought some XP, because we're 4 XP up on the rest of the lobby. We haven't really cast that many spells yet, but we're set up pretty well to cast some spells. So I'll pick up a Storm King. That's just a large unit. Then we can go for a Masquerade Ball. We've got 2 looks at a tier 6. That's probably good enough. We're almost out of gold for the turn. So 2 tier 6 units. Well, I'm not impressed by either of them, but Lancelot's kind of fine. We can give Lancelot plus 6 from the Magnum, and maybe that allows us to do something with it. I'll sell out of the Stag, because now I can potentially pick up the Stag with just getting some more into the shop rather than holding on to the upgraded version. So I'm gonna hope that now we're gonna put Grimsoul in front of the Lancelot, so that way maybe Grimsoul can trigger onto the Lancelot, and we're building towards a tier 6 and a tier 5 treasure. We've got some interesting angles of attack now that we are still just so far ahead of the rest of the lobby in XP. You can see the Fates now on 5.1, and we've got a board full of level 6 units. We are going to be able to slay with Lancelot here up against this summon comp, and Hercules will also definitely be getting its day here against all of these animals. So that's really great. Aeon will also be getting some slays, and I'm not sure if I will actually win this combat, but that's not super important. Maybe Lance can get another slay too. That would actually be really sweet. Okay. We've run out of... Oh wait, Lance will get a slay. Wow. Okay, so that's really good. Lance goes up to 24 attack. So Lance just needs a little bit more help to get us a tier 5 treasure, but we get to grab a tier 7 treasure here. I mean, we got to go for Pandora's box here quite clearly. Awkwardly taking Cloak of the Assassin. I did know that that would shrink Lancelot, but it is something worth going for. And if we do the math right here, Stone Skin, double cast on Lance will put it up to 23 health, which means if Grimsoul dies and lands on Lance, that would have been enough to have it activate. But it is still a little bit awkward. I'd rather just go for a guaranteed, especially because I only get to cast one spell. And if I only get to cast one spell, It Was All a Dream is kind of a sweet one. I'm going to make some room in my hand, sell off the stag. We are no longer going to be Wonder Waddle, and then I'm going to dream. And this is going to get double cast, because we've got the forking rod. So the first thing that we transform into doesn't really matter here. I'm just gonna pick Celestial Tiger. It takes it out of the pool. And then we are gonna go into, oh wait, yeah, Miri. Miri is really cool because that will give some interesting stats to the Lance, but I am ultimately going to go for Merlin because we are really such a spell-heavy build. And then I'm out of time on this turn, unfortunately, but basically, if Grimsoul dies and then Lancelot can slay, we will be able to get a tier 5 treasure here. So pretty good stuff. We're also going to be getting a tier 7 treasure this turn from Pandora's box, and maybe we will be able to figure out where we're going from here, because despite being level 6, despite having some really strong units, we get to make a lot of decisions based off what treasures we find right now. And awkwardly, we don't really get great treasures. We get Hand of Midas and we get a Fairy Queen's Wand, but I'm not super excited about Fairy Queen's Wand +5/+5 on our board. Our board's huge. I think I'm actually going to grab Hand of Midas and toss the Fairy Queen's Wand, toss this Pandora's box here, because I don't really think that that is super exciting. So we'll pick up Hand of Midas, and interesting bug there potentially. The Pandora's box overwrites the Hand of Midas, so we don't actually get to pick that up, but I'm going to wind up double dreaming and dreaming into Skip. So now we'll have 2 more dreams to cast and use down the line, and then here we go into Snow Angel. Kind of forgot the order that I went into all of these heroes, but we're going to keep trying to make something work. I go into Snow Angel thinking that maybe Good Boy would be good here. However, we can't grab an upgraded Good Boy, so I'm kind of at a loss because I thought that we were going to have that Hand of Midas, and now we're just not. So a little bit awkward. I'm going to wind up just rolling and then picking up a Miri, or not a Miri, an Aeon, and locking onto this lucky coin. But definitely a little bit awkward that we did not get to use our tier 5 treasure. I'll remember to submit a bug report for that, this one after this video is, after I'm done recording here. But still getting some nice slays with Aeon and still winning our combats, but still don't really have too much of a direction despite being in the top 3 of the game. I feel like I haven't really put together a comp. I'm powerful, you know, I'm really strong, but I'm just kind of playing strong units. I'm not really playing anything super synergistic or anything that means anything. So we are still potentially looking to dream and find a slightly better comp here. I am going to pick up another Wizard's Familiar just because we are still casting a bunch of spells, and then I'm going to go for Shard of the Ice Queen on Hercules. Maybe that can give us something fun. Just going to give us some 3 big pigs. Not super exciting, but maybe there's something we can do with that. But I do have an idea, and something that I can kind of put together. I'm going to pick up another Wizard's Familiar and then just kind of roll to try to potentially triple that down the line. Only being able to cast 1 spell each turn is definitely a little bit awkward, and it means that we can't dream this turn either. So kind of regret picking up the pigs, but we do get to triple the Wizard's Familiar. That's really sweet. I'll just skip this treasure and then pick up another Wizard's Familiar just to use our gold for the turn. I do like the idea of Evil Twin, especially when we can Forking Rod it, but I realized at the last second we're not going to be able to Forking Rod it because we don't have the Grim Soul anymore. So we're probably going to get a discount of like 4 or 3 rather onto this Evil Twin, but it was pretty lucky to have it cost 6 less, and unfortunately we're not going to really be able to make use of that here. We will get 1 Slay with Aeon, and maybe we get another one, but we'd actually have to get 2 more Slays with Aeon, so it's not actually super likely. It could, you know, we could attack into the burning tree there and potentially get it, but it is not going to be the case. So Forking Rod won't work on this Evil Twin. It costs 3 and not 2, so a little bit awkward. We can go for Feed the Kraken. That is a bunch of gold, but I do think that I probably want to cast some Dreams at some point as well, and find a hero that gives us a little bit more power. So I'm going to wind up not casting any spells. I mean, I can cast Drink Me Potion. That's kind of free. And then we find another Dream in the shop. So that's also kind of nice because we can double cast it. And yeah, I'm thinking at this point that I kind of want to sell something before I dream, so that way in case we dream into Gwen, we'll have a space for it in our hand. So we're going to double cast this dream. Morgan, Sharebear, Horde Dragon, none of these matter. We're just going to dream off of this anyways, and then we will wind up in taking a Sir Galahad. Doesn't really matter. And then I'll just wind up rolling down. We are playing up against the Ghost here, so we do have a little bit of time. We're also at 32, so we still have some time to figure it out, but I don't feel like we have yet. That is the point. And yeah, do want to try to put some more somethings together. We got 2 more dreams in our hand though, and maybe we can put something nice together with those. We are just really strong right now, especially up against the Ghost. This is going to be no problem here. And yeah, we're just going to wind up dreaming again next turn and hopefully picking up like some Storm Kings or something, just because, I mean, it's like a 53-53. That's a pretty nice unit for us as well. And I do kind of have an idea. There is something kind of brewing in my head, and this game has gone so perfectly for me that I feel like I can will it into existence just the slightest bit. And that is triple these Storm Kings, dream into Trophy Hunter, and get a 9th Book of Merlin off of the treasure that we dream into. So when I see Trophy Hunter here, I'm like, okay, we're putting it, you know, we got that XP earlier when we needed it, the 4 XP in 1 turn, which was absolutely beautiful. And I feel like if I just believe hard enough, I can make this happen too. So we wind up picking up the Trophy Hunter. That's really good. None of our units currently have Last Breaths or Slays or anything, but we do have the belief that we could potentially create this into something absolutely beautiful. So we'll see what we are able to put together next turn. Lightning Dragon not going to be strong enough to slay, which is really good. The Shadow Assassin will slay, but these Germangans actually aren't really that big. The second one is going to get big, but that's just going to trade with some mages, so not too bad. And then I think we will walk away with a win, but this was a really close game, and it does mean we wind up taking Sad Drac out of it here. And now we get to realize our true potential. Probably didn't need it. We were probably pretty strong anyways this game if we had just played it pretty close to the vest. But there we go. Easiest 9th Book of Merlin ever. I was pretty excited that this one actually worked. So really cool. We will toss our wand, I guess, hang on to the Merlin's hat plus Forking Rod combo. Kind of a neat combo. And now all of our units have Slay and Last Breath cast a spell. So really, really sweet stuff here. We also have some nice units to be able to pick up right now. There is another Aeon in the shop. Aeon can also do some cool stuff. And there's a Spellweaver. And Spellweaver can still actually get out of hand pretty quickly. I do just want to consider like what else we want to do with this board. Do we want to get rid of a Wizard's Familiar? We do see that we've got a Spellweaver we could potentially pick up next turn. Interestingly, I'm going to Hugify before I wind up picking up this Aeon, and the reason for that is I think I'm going to toss my Merlin's hat for a Mimic Chest. And again, this just works out absolutely perfectly for us. And now all of our units have double Last Breath and double Slay. So when this Aeon attacks in, unfortunately it doesn't get the Slay. That's still going to cast 2 spells though. One is a Pigomorph and one is a Smite. Magnum will cast 2 spells, but this Storm King, when it attacks, will also cast 2 spells, and that is just really, really insane. Aeon now gets to cast 4 spells, 2 from the Slay and then 2 from the Last Breath, and we've really just put together something absolutely beautiful here. This is going to slowly do in this Peter Pants, but still got a game to play because they're at 27 health, so we're going to take them down slowly but surely, but not too slowly either. We're also triple casting spells here because we've got the Mimic Chest and the Forking Rod, so we really just want to come up with one more spell to cast for this Spellweaver, and the Spellweaver will also have a bunch of attack, but Hugify is basically the perfect spell here because that immediately gives it a whole bunch more attack and gets to get triple cast, and then it gets all the buffs from Aeon as well. So really sweet stuff. Don't think we're going to wind up doing anything else for the rest of this turn. There is some interesting things, like I'm clearly frontlining this Mad Mim in a very strange way. There is some kind of logic to that. And then I'm also locking onto a Genie's Wish just because I feel like if I can only cast 1 spell, that's one of the best single spells that I can cast. But when the Mad Mim dies, it will give a bunch of extra stats to all of my mages in the back row because those ones scale better from spells. So I think that for that reason, I want to hang on to just playing the Mad Mim as my mage in the front row and seeing what we can do. But this time, Aeon is big enough, it is going to slay. So that is going to be 4 spells cast against my opponent, and we are doing really good here. My opponent has an upgraded good boy, but there we go, another Aeon with a triple cast, casting a Pigomorph both times, so that is going to be a bunch of spells to do my opponent in. Mad Mim will double cast, and then here comes Storm King. That is going to quadruple cast as well, and that will be enough to scam this Spellweaver as well, and will hit my opponent for another 12. So we're slowly chunking away here in bursts of 12. Genie's Wish, here comes a bunch of stats. I think it is worth it just because all of these Aeons, the Forking Rod, the Mimic Chest, it's going to be so many spells. Awesome. That basically just doubled the Spellweaver's attack. Well, maybe not quite. It probably got some some spells or some stats in the combat as well. The Spellweaver is pretty small with only 4 health. It winds up just dying to the random falling stars that get cast during combat. But either way, I think that this is really, really good, and I don't really have to mess around with like taking the Magnum out. We could potentially backline it and put a Wizard's Familiar in the front line. We could also move the Magnum up more. We could even attack with the Magnum first. I don't think that that is the craziest idea, because then when the Magnum dies, all of the Aeons will pump up the rest of my team, but I don't think that we really need to do anything too crazy here. Let's just sit back and watch. We're gonna start this combat by casting like a bunch of spells, and then we'll see what happens after that. Yeah, it's an Earthquake, a Smite, a Blessing of Athena, so really sweet stuff. And then Aeon's gonna do a quad cast every time those get in, and anytime one of my other mages get taken down, we will do another quad cast here. But really, really sweet stuff. I thought this was just an awesome way to put together a really great mages board here, and everything just came together this game. When we had our Polywoggle, it turned into an Aeon, and then Aeon slayed twice and allowed us to cast just a Wish Upon a Star twice. We got the Forking Rod, which was super lucky. All of it was just absolutely fabulous for us. Lightning Bolt, probably not the best spell here. I think I'm just going to roll for another Genie's Wish, just because it's so much fun to watch all of those spells get cast there at the end, and then that is going to be basically the end of it here. We'll roll a few more times in this shop, but yeah, don't imagine we're going to find anything. I guess we lock Lucky Coin because we'll be able to do something with that next turn. We just get to start the combat, or start the shop by casting 3, but it's probably not going to be a next turn either. We have just got a bunch of stuff here with all of our mages doing them dirty, and I think that should be enough to clean it up. They do have a bunch of ranged units, and they've got a bunch of Magnums as well. 4 ranged units means that they definitely have a chance, but we're just casting so many spells. It's got to be so tough to get back from this. Let's see. Will their Spellweaver in the back line get scammed? Well, we're about to cast 4 spells. I have to imagine one of those is going to be a Falling Star. It actually isn't. Will this be? Okay, we shrivel their Magnum, and then we just attack and take it out here. Oh wow, we hit them for 10! Okay, we do have another turn to play. So we'll start off our final turn here by casting a Lucky Coin, but really, it doesn't matter what else we do. Mix-a-Wizzle, just gonna throw that on the Polywoggle. We get a Baba Yaga, which I wasn't really thinking about at the time, but it could have been really sweet if we cast this Knighthood on the Baba Yaga and then just played that. That will make a lot more sense as a play once Baba Yaga becomes a mage, which I think is really going to be... I mean, Baba Yaga's already an insane card. I don't think it needs to be a mage, but we'll talk about that, I guess, when we review the next patch. But I'm not going to wind up playing it. I just feel like I've got too much stats on all of my other units already for it to matter, and then my opponent is just going to concede. So writing was on the wall there. We had a 99.72% to win that last combat. Not sure what that 0.28% is that we wind up losing that, but I felt pretty confident and thought that we were pretty strong. My opponent did have a bunch of ranged units though, so I guess something could have gone wrong if our scams didn't all... I mean, I don't know. I think we did it. And I think we also just put together something truly beautiful with this game. There was a lot of really fun moments. Just to recap, we had the Polywoggle turned into Aeon by slaying, not by a Grimsoul, by actually slaying, and then it slayed 2 more times in the same combat to make our spells cost 4 less. We went for Treasure Map, got the Forking Rod, rolled for the XP, found Wish Upon a Star, got 4 XP in 1 turn, which was just absolutely insane, and then all of a sudden we were level 6, had to figure out what to do, had no clue. We were super strong. We killed the rest of the lobby before we even figured out what comp we were playing, and then We dreamed a bunch of times into Trophy Hunter plus Ninth Book of Merlin plus Mimic Chest, and really just capped it off with an excellent victory here. That is going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.